Welcome to the channel. My name is Rainer. The channel's name is Rainier Books. And today, 1st of August, the Booker Longlist is here. It's finally here. And you will see my spontaneous reaction to the titles. I wasn't up last night watching it on the internet, but I'm here now, almost 11 o'clock, something like that. You know, I just saw the USA draw against Portugal in the Women's Football Championships in Australia, actually New Zealand, 0-0, going through to the round of the last 16 where they meet Sweden. But now it's Booker time. We have more important things to do, folks. And let's see my spontaneous reaction, and then in a cut after that, because there might be some books that I haven't heard about or some books that I don't know so much about, I will go through the list and tell you about the books that I am very much interested in. Let's do this. So let's go to the homepage of the Booker Foundation, and they themselves say original and thrilling long list for the Booker Prize 2023 is announced. Yeah, and I'm fine with the cookies. So let's look at the list, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. The list is A Spell of Good Things by Oyinkan Adebayo. I had that on my prediction list. 1 point for me. Sebastian Barry, Old God's Time. Okay, I heard about the book, but I don't know so much about it. The third one is Study for Obedience. Never heard about it, by Sarah Bernstein. If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery. Okay. How to Build a Boat. I never heard of that. And I Can't Build Boats by Elaine Feeney. Then we have This Other Eden by Paul Harding. I don't know so much about so much of the books here. Pearl by Xian Hughes. Sounds Irish than the first name. Then we have All the Little Bird Hearts by Victoria Lloyd Barlow. No points for me here. The next one is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. I give up. I haven't heard about this one either. In Ascension by Martin McInnes. That was on many lists of other booktubers and prediction lists, not on mine. We have Western Lane by Chetna Maru. I don't know. And we have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. And finally, because this is a Booker dozen, which always is made up of 13 books, and this is my second point, The House of Doors by Tan Tuan Eng. I'll come back to you in a few minutes after the cut with information about the books, but also about how I will look at this list, how I will read a part of this list, and which books are going to be on my TBR very soon. Well, the day is almost done, and during the day I saw some football games from the World Cup Championships. There's a beautiful readathon going on. You can still join it, I guess. But let's talk about the Booker list now. I've looked on it, I looked at the authors and the books nominated, saw a couple of videos from fellow booktubers about it, and I still don't know what to make of it because some of the real big names are missing. How about Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead not on the Booker longlist? Dear friends of the jury, if you are serious and your task is nominating the best book, the best literary fiction that was written and published in the United Kingdom in the 12 months between October 1st and September 30 in 2022 and 2023, how can you not nominate Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver if the goal is to nominate the best fiction? Because Demon Copperhead is one of the best books in the last decade, in this century probably, written in English literature. But it's always like that. Booker always picks some new stuff, some unexpected stuff, and creates its own list. And it's funny that a Canadian who is the head of the jury, Issa Dujan, that she is heading a jury that is going to nominate a record Irish longlist with 4 Irish titles, which is beautiful. Hello to Ireland, to all my Irish friends. You must have a great day today, a party in Irish literature. But let's look at the books, and especially from the viewpoint in which books I am interested in, because I'm not going to do what other booktubers do, read the entire Longlist. There are other things, there are other books out there that attract my attention. There are also other awards, and there are also other prizes like the Booktube prize that tonight announced its finalists, but that would be another different video. So let's start looking at the Booker list, look at the books, and tell you what I'm interested in. The first book I'm really interested in is Sebastian Barry's Old God's Time. Sebastian Barry is a writer from Ireland, born in 1955. He's 68 years old, probably the oldest on the list. I'm not sure, but this is the fifth time that Sebastian gets nominated for his recent novel, Old God's Time. And this is a thriller kind of book. Recently retired policeman Tom Cattle is settling into a quiet of his new home. He doesn't do anything. He hasn't seen anyone for months. And he wants to sort of retire and really live another part of his life. But then two former colleagues of him appear, and they have some questions about a case that was done, that he investigated years ago and decades ago, and this sort of intrigues him, and he gets back into that case. Has been described as a beautiful, haunting novel in which nothing is quite as it seems, and about what we live through, what we live with, and what may survive us. Sebastian Barry, that's the first book that I really say I'm in. The second book I'm also in, that I had it on my own prediction of the long list. I had 2 points, 2 out of 13. Well, that's not bad for the Booker. I have as many as Eric Carl Anderson, for example. Or was it Simon Savage? I don't remember. No, Simon Savage not, but Eric Carl Anderson had 2, I think. I had two. This is A Spell of Good Things by Oyinkan Adebayo, Nigerian author born in 1988. This is her second novel. And this is it's called A Spell of Good Things. And it's about two families, two very different characters in Lagos, Nigeria, that big city that live on the very different sides of poor and rich. And their lives are entwined. And it says it's a novel about today's Lagos, today's Nigeria. And that is very, very interesting. The third book is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. Sarah Bernstein is a writer born in Montreal in Canada, but she has been living in Scotland for many years now. So both Scotland and Canada will and can claim her as one of their own. She was on the list of Granta's Best Young British Novelist in 2023. See, the British already grabbed that Canadian author. A young woman moves from the place of her birth to the remote northern country of her forebears to be housekeeper to her brother. And she arrives there, and the locals are sort of very suspicious about what's happening and about her as well, because things are happening with animals there. The demise of a ewe and her newly born lamb, a local dog's phantom pregnancy, a potato blight, things like that. Sounds a little bit supernatural. It is described here with sharp lyrical voice. Sarah Bernstein powerfully explores questions of complicity and power, displacement and inheritance. Study for Obedience is a finely tuned, unsettling novel that confirms Bernstein as one of the most exciting voices of her generation. No, I'm not really that much attracted to that novel. The next one was very interesting. I think that doesn't happen so often. A book that was longlisted for the National Book Award in the United States last year, in 2022, is now longlisted for the Booker in 2023. This is If I Survive You by the American author Jonathan Ascoffery, who's working at Stanford University in California. This has been described as a major debut. It is the question is it really a novel? Because it is a collection of connected short stories. We see that quite often in recent years, that people write this kind of genre. Maybe it's a new genre. Jennifer Egan has done that as well in her book Visit of the Goon Squad, and many others. So this is a short story collection that goes through as a novel, apparently, here for the Booker. In the 1970s, Topper and Sanya flee to Miami as political violence consumes their native Kingston, Jamaica. But America is far from the promised land, as we know. So this is Masterfully constructed with heart and humor, as cover's debut unravels what it means to be in between homes and cultures in a world at the mercy of capitalism and white supremacy. That sounds very interesting, right? And I will put it on the plus side of that Booker list, where I have 3 yes and 1 no at this point. The 5th title here is How to Build... I should stop numbering them. How to Build a Boat by Elaine Feeney. That's Irish as well, the second Irish title after Sebastian Barry's book. Feeney is born in 1979. This is her second novel about Jamie O'Neill, who is a young boy, 13 years of age. Exactly, there are 2 things he especially wants in life: to build a perpetual motion machine and to connect with his mother, Noelle, who died when he was born. How to Build a Boat is the story of how one boy and his mission transforms the lives of his teachers, Tess and Tad, and bring together a community. Written with tenderness and verve, it's about love, family and connection, the power of imagination, and how our greatest adventures never happen alone. My answer is no. The Other Eden by Paul Harding, born in 1967, very established American author, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. This is about the story, once racially integrated Malaga Island off the coast of Maine. In 1792, formerly enslaved Benjamin Honey and his Irish wife Patience, another Irish in an American novel here, discovered an island where they could make a life together. More than a century later, the Honeys' descendants remain there with an eccentric, diverse band of neighbors, a pair of sisters raising 3 Penobscot orphans, Theophilos and Candace Larks, and their nocturnal brood, the prophetic Zachary Hand to God Proverbs, a Civil War veteran who carves biblical images in a hollow tree. This sounds so American that I'm not really super intrigued to read this. So I put it aside, as well as the next one. So sorry. Pearl by Sian Hughes, where you first think she could be another Irish author, but she isn't. She comes from the northeastern part of England. Marianne is 8 years old when her mother goes missing, left behind with her baby brother and grieving father in a ramshackle house on the edge of a small village. As time passes, Marianne struggles to adjust, fixated on her mother's disappearance. Another mother, a mother who died, we had that, and now we have a mother who disappeared, and the secrets she's sure her father is keeping from her. Discovering a medieval poem called Pearl and trusting its promise of consolation, Marianne sets out to make a visual illustration of it, a task that she returns to over and over, but somehow never completes. Can art heal Marianne, and will her own future as a mother help her find peace? Actually, I don't want to know the answers to this question. I'm out of this one as well. But the next one is very interesting. Very interesting. All the Little Bird Hearts by Victoria Lloyd Barlow. This actually, we have a lot of children and a lot of juvenile characters in this long list. Another one here. Sunday lives with her 16-year-old daughter Dolly. 16-year-old daughter Dolly, the same house she has lived in all her life. She does things differently from other people, mostly it works. On her quiet days, she must eat only white foods. For social situations, she has her etiquette handbook, and for solace, her beloved treasury of Sicilian folklore. But then comes in new neighbors, and the new neighbors are very interested in socializing with the mother and daughter, and they become a threat to actually the relationship, and especially to the daughter of Sunday. This is a novel about autism, but also a thriller, and this is really interesting, and I want to read it. Prophet Song by Paul Lynch from 1977, born in 1977. Mr. Paul Lynch is his 5th novel. He is Irish. This is a fearless portrait of a society on the brink as a mother faces a terrible choice from an internationally award-winning author. On a dark, wet evening in Dublin, scientist and mother of 4 Eilish Stack answers her front door to find the GNSB, probably the Secret Service, on her step. 2 officers from Ireland's newly formed secret police are here to interrogate her husband, a trade unionist. That is about a dystopian version of Ireland, a country on the brink of tyranny, a country at the end of democracy. And this mother of the family, she has to make a very important choice. This is so could be interesting. I'm not really sure. Here it says, exhilarating, terrifying, and propulsive Prophet Song is a work of breathtaking originality, offering a devastation vision of a country at war and a deeply human portrait of a mother's fight to hold her family together. There's a lot of threats here in this long list, and that's actually the world we're living in. We are under threat from so many different things, from the far right, from racists, from climate change, and so many from Russia. Apparently, so many threats are threatening us in our lives in the democracies we luckily live in. That maybe this long list has been composed and has been sort of put together to find novels, to find pieces of art, which is literature, to give us answers or to raise questions that we should have. So, it's just a humble opinion in the beginning of this long list. Then I know that Eric has loved this novel. It's his favorite novel probably here on the prize. In Ascension by Martin McInnes, Scottish author born in 1983, his third novel. This is a little bit like science fiction. Lee grew up in Rotterdam, drawn to the waterfront as an escape from an unhappy home life and volatile father. Enchanted by the undersea world of her childhood, she excels in marine biology, traveling the globe to study ancient organisms. And then they discover a trench in the Atlantic Ocean, and Lee goes to the exploration team to make investigations, to make scientific research there. But they find a question that is so deep that it really sort of poses a lot of questions about our culture, about our civilization. And here again you have a book dealing with the questions of our time. As we know, the oceans are in great danger too, and this book deals with the oceans. So this has been described as a compassionate, deeply inquisitive epic that reaches outward to confront the greatest questions of existence, looks inward to illuminate the smallest details of the human heart, and shows how, no matter how far away we might be and how much we have lost hope, and we have lost hope, haven't we? We will always attempt to return to the people and places we call home. The next book seems to be a very short one, and I'm super duper interested. And here we have another juvenile character. So we have a lot of juvenile characters, and we have a lot of threats posed to families, posed to civilization. This is so familiar because the generation that is now growing up, the children and juveniles, how will their future look like? What are the great questions that they have to ask? What are the problems that we gave them that they have to solve? So here again, another book and another mother. Motherhood is another theme of this long list. 11-year-old Gopi has been playing squash since she was old enough to hold a racket. When her mother dies, her father enlists her in a quietly brutal training regimen, and the game becomes her world. Slowly she grows apart from her sisters. Her life is reduced to the sport, guided by its rhythms, the serve, the volley, the drive, the shot, and its echo. But on the court, she's not alone. She is with her pa. She is with Jet, a 13-year-old boy with his own formidable talent. She is with the players who have come before her. She is in awe. An indelible coming-of-age story, Chetna Maru's first novel captures the ordinary and annihilates it with beauty. Western Lane, that's the title of the novel, is a valentine to innocence, to the closeness of sisterhood, to the strange ways we come to know ourselves and each other. That is very interesting. Also, I think it's interesting because this is... I don't know if we had that in recent years in the Booker long list. This is a novel about sports as well. And sports is also a part of life where I love to see books from time to time that deal with this part, physical education and sports, and the sports world. And here it is, squash. The Bee Sting by Paul Murray is, I think that's the fourth Irish title. Have you also registered? Nobody has remarked that actually. And has that happened before? I ask all the statistic experts, the statistic freaks out there, the nerds who know everything about the Booker. Has it ever happened that we had 3 men named Paul as the first name on the long list? Paul Murray is the third Paul here. From the author of Skippy Dies comes Paul Murray's The Bee Sting, an irresistibly funny, wise, and thought-provoking tour de force about family fortune and the struggle to be a good person when the world is falling apart. The Barnes family is in trouble. Dickie's once lucrative cars, they have economic problems, apparently. His wife Imelda is selling off her jewelry on eBay. Teenage daughter, formerly top of her class, seems determined to binge drink her way through her final exams. That's not the way to live. And 12-year-old PJ, is another child, is putting the final touches to his grand plan to run away from home. Where did it all go wrong? A patch of ice on the tarmac, a casual casual favor. A patch of ice on the tarmac, a casual favor to a charming stranger, be caught beneath her bridal veil. Can a single moment of bad luck change the direction of a life? And if the story has already been written, is there still time to find a happy ending? That's how Keith Morrison would read it, probably. This book has 655 pages in the audio version. The audiobook is between 26 and 27 hours. Just a little warning sign. And here comes a book. It's a very, very early. I know, it's too early. I haven't read any of these books. But from the description, from the look at the list, and I could almost imagine that this might be the favorite to put your early money on. The House of Doors by Tan Twang Ang, born 1972. The author, he's Malaysian. It's his third novel, and the third novel that happens to land on the long list of the Booker. Everything he has published yet has gotten on the long list. So the year is 1921. Leslie Hamlin and her husband Robert, a lawyer and war veteran, are living at Cassowary House on the Straits Settlements of Penang. When Willie Somerset Maugham, a famed writer and old friend of Robert's, arrives for an extended visit with his secretary Gerald, the pair threatens a rift that could alter more lives than one. Maugham, one of the great novelists of his day, is having long hidden his homosexuality. His unhappy and expensive marriage of convenience becomes unbearable after he loses his savings and the freedom to travel with Gerald. So they come to that house in Penang in Malaysia. They also meet connection to the Chinese Revolution, Dr. Sun Yat-sen. As the friendship grows and Leslie confides in him about life in the Straits, Mom discovers a far more surprising tale than he imagined. One that involves not only war and scandal, but the trial of an Englishwoman charged with murder. It is to Mom a story worthy of fiction. A mesmerizingly beautiful novel based on real events, The House of Doors traces the fault lines of race, gender, sexuality, and power under empire, and dives deep into the complicated nature of love and friendship in its shadow. And that completes already the long list of the Booker. What do you think? What do you want to read? What have you read maybe already and think, oh my God, this is marvelous, this should win? And what do you say about Barbara Kingsolver missing out here, or the jury missing out Barbara Kingsolver? Once again, the books that I'm interested in. So my books on that list is a half dozen. So from the Booker dozen, I make a half dozen books. And these are Old God's Time by Sebastian Barry, A Spell of Good Things by Oyinkan Adebayo, If I Survive You by John Escoffery, All the Little Bird Hearts by Victoria Lloyd Barlow, Western Lane by Chetna Maru, and finally The House of Doors by Tan Twang Ang. These are my 6 books that I will be focusing on and try to read or get. I'm living outside an English-speaking country, so it's not always easy to get the books. I have already looked at the library here in Stockholm, and they can provide me with Old God's Time by Sebastian Barry, but this book has just been bought by the library. It's not yet delivered to the library, and they also have If I Survive You by John Escoffery. As audiobooks, I can listen to The House of Doors by Tan Twang Ang. I think that's what they have on audio. So I have to see what I will do with the rest, with the 3 other books that are on the list. So let me know what you think of the long list. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, slap me a like. That helps always a lot. And I see you very soon in another video. I just finished an American book playing in Southie in Boston, the Irish part of Boston. It's all about Ireland and Irish today. So, cheerio, bye-bye, do svidania, auf Wiedersehen, hej då.